Yeah. Hi, everyone. So we haven't met for a while, but I have some updates for you with the new execution engine update, and let's get started. So agenda for today, a couple of updates, what we've done since last time we've met, what are the plans for the future, what's the current status, and then a little demo where I will stand up local network and I will install a contract, then execute it, um, and we will finish with Q&A session if we have time. Okay. So there's a couple of new features, couple of changes. Most of the changes we've done since last time aren't visible. They're under the hood. We are working hard on integration and fixing some issues we found and like fixing gaps. So most of the changes are under the hood, and in terms of like new features for the contract SDK API, I implemented Casper remove function, which is not present in current engine in VM1, and in VM2 you should be able to purge entries from the global state. So I know in current in VM1 in current network state. Many people do it differently. Like some people wrap entries with optional. So when you remove, they will do, let's say, overwriting data with none. So in this case, there is no need to preserve data you don't need and overcomplicate. You can just purge the entry, and it will not be visible in subsequent state root hashes. And from some kind of nice to haves for experiments for people to try, I extracted. I think it was based on feedback from one of the meetings. I organized the traits that you can use to implement some useful features into separate crate. So you can import this crate, and then let's say if you want to do CP18 token, you can just use the trait and implement it for you. And there will be example later. And some general improvements like tooling is improved. Like it's more readable, more useful, and that's there is also it's still open thing, but don't think I have a slide for it. I jump ahead with one slide. So yeah, so basically that's what I said. You will be able to remove data, and it will not be present in subsequent state root hash. And it's basically a prune operation. In the journal, you will see a prune entry, and your data in next contract invocation, you wouldn't see that information anymore. And the traits, as I mentioned, it's extracted in separate crates. So if you want to build a CP18 contract, you can just compose it with traits. So let's say CP18, you can import it, implement it. If you want to make it mintable or burnable, you also have to implement access control, because we use some like Rust feature for this where mintable expects access control to be implemented already. So this way it's not open to everyone. And yeah, that's a simple example taken from the repo. I think we've talked about traits and examples in the past, so I will not like spend too much time on this. Okay, duplicate the slide. Okay, tooling. Yeah, tooling. So when you want to build a contract, then it's like doing the steps for you to build the contract basically with with the preferred flags to make it optimized, and it will also extract all the necessary information for consuming or executing or calling into that contract for other contracts, let's say. So this JSON file will contain all the information taken from the source code, including all the entry points, arguments, return values, and type information. And Something I didn't make slide yet for it. I was meaning to, but we are also working on type information. Like I think it's a cool feature. Uh, so it's very good for discoverability, where uh, all types in the source code in your contract, smart contract implementation, they will have type UID. It will be generated based on the hash of your type. So let's say you can imagine year 64 will have a unique ID in the source if in your code, and also your complicated enum with multiple variants will also have a unique ID. So this way, if you want to, let's say, perform like on-chain or off-chain discoverability, and you want to execute a contract, and you want to know this type ID that you will receive from executed contract, you can then perform on-chain inspection of this UID, and then retrieve what is the definition of that type. Is it like, let's say, struct primitive type in um, like any possible case, right? Because you will be able to extract that information on chain and off chain as well, right? So I didn't prepare slide for this because there are some details. I am still applying some feedback because we are meeting every often with Ed and working on that. So I think in next meeting when we will meet, I will have it implemented already, and I can tell you more about that. And so yeah, besides that, I want to emphasize that we are really working hard on integrating this VM2 code into the node, like adjusting things that maybe don't make sense, like aligning this with data model. So uh, so this will be this will be so it will be consistent with existing tooling. Let's say when you will query or analyze some smart contract, it should be consistent with the existing contract, at least in terms of data model, as to I mean, where it is possible. Of course, it will introduce some new, let's say, stored value variants, but other data types, other storage, I mean, global state information should be consistent, and we are working hard on that. And also, I would say stacking the 0.1 release, basically, with like what's remaining, what is missing, what we have to do before 2.1 that is really necessary to launch this. And yeah, that's our current uh, current focus. We've also enabled VM2 on DevNet. We have a couple of keys, and I need to maybe we probably need a bit more time to really announce it. We might want to also implement like a faucet contract for VM2, so it will be kind of dogfooding experiment. So if anyone wants to experiment on DevNet with new VM, you could already like experiment with it by calling faucet, right? I think that would be interesting. But I think we need more time to announce it. So once that's announced, everyone is welcome to experiment, write contracts, ratings, see if what kind of problems it solves for you. Is it better? Is it worse? What's nice to have? What do you want to see? Some feedback is very welcome. And I think that's all from top of my memory. And I think I can show quick demo of how it works. What does it- I apologize. It's if it's small, it's a terminal. It's hard to scale it, and I have 4K monitor, so um, I think you could zoom it in the Google Meet if it's too small. Or wait, let me try. Uh, I'll scale down a bit.
That's a lot better.
Okay. So
I
let's
see that
talk.
Matt has his hand up to ask a question. I don't know if it's before demo or after demo.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we could do quick Q&A session now.
Matt, you have a question?
I'm not sure. I think Mati should reconnect. I tried to make him participant, but it was, yeah, exactly, rejected. So maybe if he's going to join back.
Okay, well, we'll get back.
Yes. And still can't make him a contributor.
Let's have Mia. I'll continue while you figure that out.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will set up a CTL network as it's good. So I started network. Let's double check if it's working. CTL start.
In the meantime, I have a question from Maciej, and the question is, what is the contract update path from VM1 to VM2?
We've checked that 2 days ago, and I think
Yeah, I can answer that question. So I'll be doing that implementation next week. So basically, the state, your permissions in state will be carried over. It's a one-time, like you can't go backwards. So if you upgrade from a VM1 targeted contract to VM2, you cannot go in reverse, right? And essentially, as part of the flow, it will bring forward your state and permissions and prune away the VM1 WASM, and essentially at the root hash after that, it is not reachable anymore. And so basically, it's a hard switchover. Once you've moved into VM2, there's no going back. Does that answer the question?
Just a second. Yes, he said yes. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, and it's not implemented yet. Like we planned it a couple days ago, and then I'm starting the work Monday or Tuesday. So if anyone has any salient thoughts, throw them out there, and we could consider and incorporate. But that's the current plan.
So I'll perform a build now with the Casper V2. It's not yet renamed, but we've just talked about renaming it. I use currently in the repo this new cargo Casper for VM2, so it will perform a build. It will first extract schema, but what it is exactly doing is extracting all the type information and something that I've mentioned about type UIDs and discoverability, that it's still under construction. And it said, yeah, it's compiled. We have WASM. I will just do a quick review of the schema. So it has the definitions. It will be changed. So let's just say it's just data, and the structure will be improved version. And you have all the types you use and your entry points and information. Let's install this. So I will use the command named transaction of session kind with some extra information. let's say, what is the constructor here? It's new. The secret key is the NCTL, defined as NCTL, secret key. Payment, pricing mode. Transferred value is the amount of tokens to send. Before execution is for payable entry points, but this is not really payable because it's just a constructor, so we are not worried about that. Other required flags, we have to specify transaction runtime for this, which will be v2 arguments, which is empty. This means actually, this is the let's just compare this with the code. This is fn new, right? So it takes one argument. It is a bool. So if you specify the args as bytes, so basically this is base 16, and it will deserialize into a boolean false, right? So it will so basically this command will execute the flipper contract. It will install it and execute a new constructor with arguments of bool that is false, right? So upon execution, basically we will take this slice of bytes, deserialize it into the boolean, and execute this function. And payment amount is standard 2.5 Casper, and so we have transaction hash. So it went through the transaction acceptor. It's the network is executing that. It's waiting to be executed basically. So I have this little log here, instantiating paper contract. Currently, Node is putting this log in this message into standard error, and it says instantiating Creeper contract in it false. Yep. So we know that we've installed that. So we need to extract the contract hash. I'm currently using like a grep on the logs, but we have also some tickets that will improve the usability of that. So you don't need to really grep, but like we have some idea like sending a message with the contract hash or something that is easily controllable by the client, not necessarily by looking at journal, but maybe something more convenient, I would say. But it's still to be developed. So we have this, and I have another command prepared that will invoke that. Invocable entity. This will be the one. Put transaction invocable entity, then you have to pass the entity contract. Entry point flip. Let's compare this with source code. Flip doesn't take any argument. So all it's doing is getting the current value, flipping it, and logging it, right? So here you can see the chunk, the args are empty because it takes no argument, so it doesn't make sense. And let's save the logs. And almost instant, we have almost instant response from the node we executed. We can send it again, hit, and we have a couple of transactions. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, but yeah. So that's all from the demo, and you can also see that the contract has, you can also test the contract. Like by running Cartofest. In the simple example, you can use the same contract code as it is just ordinary Rust code and perform tests on that. And yeah, this is a Flipper example on running now.
Great. Shall we see if there are any more questions?
Yes, there is a question from Maciej from the chat, and it's what is the VM1, VM2 communication pattern?
Yeah, so basically you can invoke so the communication is not really any different for purposes of sending arguments and writing, and then the underlying logic will navigate for you. Currently, I believe the plan is you can invoke a V1 from a V2, but not the other way around.
That's correct. So I have a couple of tests. There is a groundwork made and a couple of tests with the setup that VM2 calls into the VM1 and like kinda I don't know if it's the right word, but it basically translates the outcome of execution of VM1 and passes it to VM2, so you can know if it succeeded, is it panicked, did it revert, and what's the return value or any other information. So it's one way, one way.
Yeah, and it's just effectively an adapter. So you
Yep.
can call back, but not forward.
Yep.
I can see Maciej typing another question, I think. Anybody else? Any questions? I think the rest of you should be able to just unmute and ask a question straight away. So question from Maciej. So we need to convince everyone like Friendly to re-implement and convert?
No, I mean essentially people can use VM1 or VM2 as they prefer. So existing VM1 contracts, they can. We're not deprecating, taking away, or obsoleting VM1 at this point. They run in parallel, so it's essentially a choice. If you want some of the neat things that are in the new mechanism, you would switch. But if you don't care, or if what you've got is what you need, then you don't really have to do anything, right?
And specifically, Maciej, with regards to Friendly, you can call Friendly contracts from VM2 contracts, right? As Ed just explained earlier. It's just Friendly will not be able to call back to a VM2. But I don't know that they're doing that now, VM1 to VM1 either. So.
Okay, I just copy pasted the next question from Maciej into the chat.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, essentially, it's a matter of programming convenience, right? I mean, not most, but a lot of the benefits of the VM2 model from like the smart contract developer point of view is ease of use, right? From a systemic point of view, it's faster, more efficient, so there's systemic benefits. But from like the contract developer's point of view, it's really your preference. And so if you're developing something new, you would make the choice based upon what you prefer. If you're trying to integrate with pre-existing, if there's pre-existing VM1 stuff that you want to use or call, but you yourself aren't expecting them to call you, well then either option is available to you. If you're developing a suite of contracts and they need to be able to cross-call, if it's entirely new, then you could do it all in VM1 or VM2. So in the particular case where you're essentially integrating with an existing suite of cross-calling contracts to VM1, that's where you would basically be stuck with VM1, right? You wouldn't have the choice anymore because a VM1 would need to call you and it wouldn't be able to, right? So yeah, so I would say out of the 4 possible cases and only one of them is your hand forced and the other 3 it's purely your preference, right? And the incentives are ease of use and should be lower gas costs, though metering needs to prove that. But the increased efficiency should result in reduced gas and etc. So there's systemic benefits as well as like development time benefits, right? So I would say there's lots of incentives to do VM2 for anything new, and then the reason to consider VM1 is either because you prefer it or because you're integrating with some pre-existing contracts that are in a VM1 paradigm, right? So I'd say it's quite the other way around. Like if I were to build a new contract, I would want to build it in VM2 personally, unless I was forced to do it in VM1, right? But that's just a personal choice. I saw something flash by, but I didn't catch the whole message.
Most of the products we build have SEP18 tokens or NFT token, and we need to be able to put them on some markets. So if it forces me to deploy on VM1.
Probably, yeah. It's like if there's an existing marketplace that's in VM1 and they need to call back to you, that's the mechanism, then yeah, you would be stuck on VM1.
Right.
If they upgraded, so when we say quote unquote CEP18, a CEP18 implementation on VM1, that would be the case. If there's a CEP18 implementation on VM2, well then you could do either, right? It really is very situational. It depends on what you're trying to integrate with. And then I believe I'm not for sure, but I could have sworn, Michał, you did like a CEP18. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have like block implementation based on trade. So like implementing CP18 token under a new VM should be really straightforward. So you can just like do import CP18 for your contract, and you have like implementation ready for you. And also, I want to add something to what Ed said. The choice to make is also could be also influenced by features of the new VM. So there is some improvements to, let's say, upgrade process. There is also implementation of missing feature like de facto standard, which is payable entry points. So if your application is really complicated, I don't know, DeFi DEX, whatever application that could benefit from some new systemic operations that were, let's say, difficult under VM1, then this could be a factor for you.
Yeah, I put more from Maciej into the chat in this.
So I saw again, like they're flashing by faster than I can read the whole thing. Can you read it out for me?
Yes. So he just said that's why I asked for convincing everyone to convert to VM2 to keep ecosystem interconnected, and then or enable calling VM2 from VM1.
Well, so I don't think it's realistic or legitimate to. So the intent isn't VM2 is not a replacement for VM1, right? It's a different VM, right? So I don't think it's correct to push people to force them into an upgrade path if they don't want to, right? However, on the second part, to essentially support cross call in both directions, obviously we could implement that. It just is work and it's harder, right? So if that's something that is strongly wanted, we could do that, but it would add time to the build out, right? So essentially it's just a matter of feature. The reason why we would prefer to not do that is because we do generally want to on-ramp people onto VM2 for new work, right? Because we think it's a better experience for the developer, right? And essentially by offering the back call for pre-existing things, it facilitates that. If we do, as a community, want the ability for VM1 to call VM2, we can add it. It's just it's trickier, and so either we would need to delay the release, or essentially add it on later as an extension, right? So it's not like it's impossible. It's just it's work, and we're currently not planning to do that work. So it's a matter of just making the case for it, right? And in that scenario, were we to do it, then you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, right? You would essentially not care. I mean, to be clear, the VMs are not actually communicating with each other directly. They're not even aware of each other directly. They're communicating with the host, and the host is essentially mediating or brokering that communication. And so, because VM2 has more new things than VM1 has at like the representational level, you can take from the smaller side and then fill in missing things with default values. So that's straightforward. But if you're going backwards and you've got a bigger set of things, including things that are not representable in the older thing, well, that's trickier, because either it gets dropped or it wasn't load bearing in the first place, so it's not irrelevant, or there's a problem. There's some piece of information that you have to like bundle up in a different way to tunnel it into the older stuff, right? Or you have to enhance the older stuff to understand this new stuff. So basically, it's just more work. That's basically where it's at. It's not that we couldn't do it. It's just that we're currently not planning to, due to the extra complexity, right? So basically, make a feature request, I would say, and put it out there, and it's a matter of desire and priority. And if it's decided we should do that, well, then we'll do it. But it will take a little bit of time to get that all sorted out.
Okay, one more question to the VM from Maciej. I'm afraid we will end up with two sets of contracts that we have to maintain, like SCSPR for VM1 and SCSPR for VM2, and the same for all other public contracts.
Well, sure. I mean, so basically, anytime you have, basically this seems to me like a series of concerns about something new, right? Whenever you have something new and it's more, then it's going to necessitate or cause more. So the option is, well, you just don't ever get anything new, right? Or you eliminate anything old, right? Or you just live in a world where there's a plethora of options, right? So that's, I don't know that that's a problem. It's essentially a choice. When you say we, if you as an entity have contracts, you get to make that choice for yourself. If you don't want to maintain pre-existing VM1 and you want to just do the upgrade yourself for your things, and that's how it is, well, that's your choice. If you do want to provide support for the previous and also provide the new, well, that's your choice. And vice versa. If you don't want to use the new stuff and you want to stay on the old stuff, that's your choice. We're not turning it off, right? It's not going away. There's nothing wrong with it. You can continue to use it. All of your existing implementation continues to function. So it's really just a matter of your particular, obligations, like who depends on you, and if it's all your own software using all of your own smart contracts, well, then you entirely control that decision. If you're integrating with other people, then it's a group consensus around what the collective wants to do, and that's just I don't see choice.
I mean, sorry, yeah, it's specifically what Maciej is talking about with the state Casper contract. I mean, that's sort of like a public utility application, right? So there's some ecosystem-wide compatibility requirements there. This probably means that for the time being, it would be a VM1, which can be called from both VM1 and VM2. contract. And then more generally speaking, VM2 is an example of an additional VM under sort of the multi-VM capability that the Casper host provides, right? So there could be future VMs that have zero sort of interoperability with other VMs theoretically, and have very sort of narrow specific use cases. So it's not that there's a guarantee that every VM is going to be able to speak to contracts in every other VM, just by design. So just as an additional sort of piece of context around that.
Right, exactly.
So I think also it's a matter of general consensus. If, let's say, new VM will prove itself after 2.1, I could also imagine a case where, let's say, Friendly Market will add support for trading new VM tokens, and then if you want to make a hard switch in your liquid token, you could, let's say, withdraw liquidity and then deploy new under VM2 contract, and then like reinject the liquidity and work with the Friendly Market and like do like social consensus. This was old contract, this is new contract hash, and that's also an option, right? I believe that's the case for Friendly Market after 2.0. I think that's from my understanding, that's more or less what they did when we deployed 2.0. So yeah, I think also I would say yeah, we will get to that and we will solve that problem.
Yeah, I mean, you could also, if on your scenario there, you can also put a, you know, essentially a dispatcher in front of that. So if you are an entity who is supporting parallel implementations of the same basic thing, you could put a switcher or dispatcher in front of that that has a stable address that people, you know, trampling. But yeah, but the issue there is they won't share state, right? So the state, they would have each their own state, and if you wanted to essentially make it appear from the outside as if they were really just two faces of the same thing, well then you'd have to set up the permissions appropriately so that both of them could access that data. So I don't know that would be practical. It seems to me like that would be a lot of work for not much gain, right?
We have 4 minutes left, so maybe the last message from Maciej. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to use VM in general because it solves a lot of problems of VM1 on the host side that we had to solve with tricks in Odra on VM1.
So
that's a good note to end it on, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Maciej. So once we are ready, I can come to Wrocław and we can implement support for VM2 in Odra together. I can help you with that.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Michał and Ed, for presenting and responding to questions, and community, Maciej, for your contributions.
Thanks, everyone. The recording will be available soon, and I will share that with you.